Okay, so today we're going to do Unit 2, Day 17 notes, which is just basic review and everything we've learned up to this point. So let's start off with number 1. This graph shows the amount of weight Lucy lost over a 5-week period. What does the slope represent on the graph? So we know that the slope is the rise over the run. And basically the rise is the y over and the run is the x. Okay? So what does the y-axis represent? Well, the y-axis represents the number of pounds. Okay, number of pounds. And the x-axis represents the weeks. Now, remember that the line right here, that means per. So that means the number of pounds per weeks. Okay, so anytime fraction symbol or fraction line means per. So number of pounds per week. So basically number of pounds lost. We're talking about losing weight. Number of pounds lost per week. Okay, that's what the slope means. So which of these says that? Pounds lost per week. And the answer is C. So that's what the slope represents in this problem. They didn't ask you to find the slope. They just asked you what does the slope mean. Okay, number 2. In which graph do all the plotted points lie on the line y equals x plus 2? So let's identify the different parts. Let's start off with the slope, and let's start off with the y-intercept as well. Okay, so let's start with the easy part. The y-intercept, which is 2. The slope is 1. Okay, remember, if there's no number in front of the x, then it's implied to be a 1. Now, looking at these graphs, which one has a y-intercept of 2? This one doesn't. Okay. This one does, so that could be a potential. So this one does as well, and this one does not. So the answer has to be between B and C. Well, we notice that the slope is 1. Okay, so that means it's increasing in a positive direction. So that means it has to be B, because C is a horizontal line. So that means the slope is 0 for this graph. So it cannot be C. So the answer is B. Okay, moving on to the next problems. Which shows the graph of the equation y equals 2x minus 4. So once again, let's start off with the slope and the y-intercept of that equation. So the y-intercept of that equation is negative 4. And the slope is 2. Now, looking at these graphs, which one matches the information that we gathered from the equation? Well, first and foremost, look and see which one has a y-intercept of negative 4. Okay, this has a y-intercept of negative 4. This has a y-intercept of negative 4. Not B. So now let's find the slope of 2. So that would be 1, 1, 2. So that gives me a slope of 1/2. So that's not it. The other one would be 1, 2, 1. So the answer will be C, because C gives you a slope of 2, because the rise over the run is 2 over 1, which is just 2, compared to the other one where it gave you a slope of 1/2. Okay, moving on. Number 4, which is an equation of the line graph below? So anytime they give you a graph and they ask you to determine the graph or the equation of the graph, just identify the slope and the y-intercept of the graph. So let's start with the y-intercept, which is 1. Now the slope, choose 2 of those points and do the rise over the run. So the rise is 1. And the run is 1, 2, 3. And it's decreasing, okay? So that means it's negative 1/3. So if I were to write my equation, it would be y equals negative 1/3 x plus 1. And the answer is C. Okay. Let's move on to the next question, which is also a matching a graph with the information that's given to us. So number 5, which graph shows a line with a slope of negative 3 and a y-intercept of negative 7? So first and foremost, identify the graphs that have a negative slope because we're talking about -3. So this is not it because it's increasing. So that cannot be my graph. This is decreasing, check. Decreasing, check. Increasing, that's out. So we have to choose between B and C. Well, let's look at which one has a y-intercept of -7. B doesn't. C does have the y-intercept of -7. So the answer has to be C. And it's not B. Okay, moving on to the next problem. In which function table do all the points x, y lie on the line that has a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 2? Okay, so basically, you will need to identify which of these will require you to, or which of these has a slope of 3. So let's start off by identifying the slope of A. So remember, you got to do your patterns on each side. So 26 minus 17 gives you 9. 17 minus 8 gives you 9. 8 minus -1 gives you 9. Then on the other side, 8 minus 5 gives you 3. 5 minus 2 gives you 3. 2 minus -1 gives you 3. Okay? So 9 over 3 gives you 3. So now, let's look at the other tables and see if we get a slope of 3. But if we don't, then our answer is going to be A. So 26 minus 17 is 9. 17 minus 7 is 10. 7 minus -1 is 8. Now on the other side, we have A minus 5 is 3. 5 minus 2 is also 3. So I can stop there because I know my slope is going to come out to be different. So it's not B. The other side, 26 minus 18 gives me 8. 18 minus 8 is 10. 8 minus -1 is 9. Now on the other side, A minus 5 is 3. 5 minus 2 is 3. I can stop there because that's going to give me different slopes. Now the last one, 25 minus 17 gives me 8. 17 minus 8 gives me 9. And 8 minus -1 gives me 9. So A minus 5 is 3, 5 minus 2 is 3. And I can stop there because that gives me different slopes. So my answer has to be A. Okay? Because that's the only one that has a slope of 3. Okay? Moving on to the next problem. The table below contains a list of ordered pairs. Which equation represents the relationship between x and y? So let's start off by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. Well, if you notice, the y-intercept will be 1, okay, because that's where x equals 0. Now let's identify the slope. Remember, it's the right side over the left side. So let's start. -5 minus -2 is -3. -2 minus 1 is -3. 1 minus 4, -3. 4 minus 7, -3. On the other side, we're just going down by 1. So it will be 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus -1 is 1. So it's 1 all across. So remember, the right side over the left side. So the right side is -3. The left side is 1. So your slope is just -3. So if I'm going to write this equation, it's going to be y equals -3x plus 1. So that means my answer has to be A. And finally, the last thing I need to do is number 8. Now remember, they're asking you for an equation. So the best thing you need to do is set up a table. And that will be -2, -2, 1, 7. So the first thing I need to do is find my slope. Okay? So 7 minus -2 is 9. 1 minus -2 is 3. So the right side over the left is 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Okay? Now, I need to find the y-intercept. Okay? Now, that will be your second step. So using your slope and one of the points, I'm going to plug it into my equation. Okay? So the first thing I need to do is plug in into y equals mx plus b. So y, I'm going to use the one with the positive number. So xy, so that will be 7 equals 3 times 1 plus b. So 3 times 1 is 3. Okay. Equals 7. I'm going to jailbreak the 3 to the other side, so that becomes a -3. So my final answer is b equals 7 minus 3 is 4. So your letter B is 4, your slope is 3. So using this, I can create my equation, which comes out to be y equals 3x plus 4, which is letter B. Okay? Now that we did this using our inactive way, you could also have used your calculator under stat edit. So remember, let's go back to number 7. If they ever ask you to create an equation and you need to use your calculator, then you may use stat edit. So go to stat, click edit. Remember that if you have anything in the table, just click clear, scroll up to L1 or L2, click clear, enter. Now type in your first column, which is -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Next column is 7, 4, 1, -2, -5. Now click stat, calculate, option number 4, enter, 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 and there's your equation. -3 for the M and 1 for the B, which is what we chose as our answer. You could do the same thing over for the next problem. So go back to stats, edit, clear your tables, and type in your table that you created using the order pair. So -2, 1, -2, 7. Okay, stat, calculate, option number 4, enter, enter, enter. And it gives you that the M is 3 and the B is 4, which is exactly what we picked. Okay? And if you go even further back to the previous problem, you could also have just used your stat edit to type in every single table to see which one gave you the slope of 3 and the y-intercept of 2. And if you want, we can try out the first table to make sure that we did pick the right answer. So let's type in that table, -1, 2, 5, 8, and then it's going to be -1, 8, 17, 26. Now, stat, calculate, option number 4, enter, 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 and the slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 2. So I did pick the correct answer. Okay. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to ask me in class the next day.